So, without any further ado, James, I want to hand over to you and let you share your screen.
Welcome, everyone. It's great to be here. It really is. So, yeah, as Grant says, I am part of the product management team that looks after all aspects of MYOB Acumatica. I've had the privilege of being involved with this product for a good number of years. And yeah, always happy to spend some time with customers to understand how things are going and share what is happening within the product. So today I want to take you through two major topics, okay? A little bit about what's here and now in terms of what's happening, and then we'll take a little bit of a step back and look at the wider picture as to what are we doing with the product over the next 3 plus years. All right. So I'm going to start off with our 2024 spring release. Now, for those of you who've been around for a while, we do two major releases a year. We do one that's in early Q2 of a year, and we do another one that's in early Q4. So this is our release that is now coming out. Okay. And so I'll give you just a bit of timelines around this. So we made the release available in September. We've made some training available. I'm hoping that a lot of people here were on the Discover launch event. So the Discover launch event, I'll give you a bit more details around it, is really where we showcase what is coming, some of the key features, the highlighted areas, and the timelines around that. If you missed it, you can still get access to the recordings. And again, I really encourage you to have a look at that. We're going to be starting the kickoff of we've started the EAP kickoff, or that's the early access program for customers to be able to start, or a few customers to be able to start seeing what it's all about. And you'll start seeing the new release being rolled out over really starting off from February next year. So that's all about the new release. But now the question is, what is actually inside the release? So let's jump into some of the juicy details around what's coming out inside the product. So there's a couple of areas that we are always focusing on, okay, as part of the release of the product. So, jumped around a little bit there. So we break the product down into various different capabilities, finance, people, sales, customers, projects, etc. I'm not going to be able to go through everything inside this release today, okay? But needless to say, we're focusing on enhancing all of our different key areas or key capabilities to be able to continually allow you to be able to do more inside the product and streamline the efficiencies that you can gain from the workflows. Okay. So touching on things like finance, okay, reversing cash purchase documents. You used to be able to do that in the sales process, but you couldn't do it inside the purchasing side of things. So again, it just created more workarounds and more less efficiencies inside your workflows. And so these are the areas that we are constantly trying to tidy up and improve. Okay, if we jump onto the people side of things, we released a whole lot of reporting earlier on. We're going to continue the reporting side of things. But another key part of us, and this was part of, I think, related to one of the questions that I came in and heard a little bit about in terms of workforce management, specifically relating to construction. Part of that is requiring us to do some awards in terms of the specific pay requirements in those areas. So we're constantly building out the awards library to be able to support more complex pay requirements, specifically relating to the AU awards, but also required here in NZ at the same time. So those are the extensions that we're coming through with. So you'll see some of that coming in the spring release, but as I go into it a little bit more, you'll start seeing that this is a common thing that is going to be enhanced the whole way through. Sales and customers, providing good service to customers is absolutely critical. And so we've enhanced some of the case management functions inside the product to be able to allow you to give that service, give more access to the customers to be able to self-serve and track what is happening. And then again, we continue with the projects going through and improving some of the forms around constructions. Supply chain is a critical part of the solution. We have a lot of customers utilizing this. And I think it was mentioned earlier on about the distribution requirements planning, being able to get more visibility of your inventory holdings and try and reduce the level of inventory holdings to get more cash flow and be able to be more efficient while still generating the same level of service to your customers. Production will always continue to get enhancements in the same sort of vein around MRP. Field service is an area that is really growing for us at the moment. There's a lot of opportunity inside this space. So if you haven't looked at the field service module in terms of being able to allow you to keep track of equipment, both yours as well as equipment that you may service for customers, being able to keep track of your warranties, your SLAs, everything along those lines, there's a huge amount that is being focused on that area. And then the overall platform areas. So when we look at platform services, these are the things that underpin all parts of the product. Now, there's questions earlier on around the GIs, and GIs are a key part of reporting, and I'll jump into that a little bit more as we go forward. So one of the first things we're starting to do is starting to allow you to be able to utilize a generic inquiry as the source of another generic inquiry. Now, the benefit of that allows you to be able to really hone down in some of your calculations for KPIs and areas like that. So again, just trying to enhance the benefits around this. I love the platform area, especially when you start getting into business events and workflows. I mentioned earlier on about how you can start doing more tailoring of solutions without having to go into code. The amount that you can do with business events and workflows is huge. It really is. And it's something I think a lot more people can explore to really tailor their systems to be able to meet their particular workflows. So as I mentioned, I can't go through those details. Now, we had our Discover session that was on the 22nd of October, where we deep dived into into these areas in a bit more detail, allowing you to be able to see snippets of it in action. If you missed that session, please, you can use that link and you can then register for the recording. It's obviously free on all of those sorts of things. So have a look and understand what's coming and get more details around the solution. And that's just a bit more about the actual session. I really encourage you, if you didn't attend, please go and have a look. But now let's take a bit of a step back. Okay, that's what's coming now. Let's look at next year and beyond. What are some of the key themes that we are focusing on with the product? So to begin with our regular releases, we want to be delivering value to you as customers on a regular basis. We want to be able to provide updates, be they fixes within the product, be they new features that we're enhancing. So we are really working on our releases and our release process to make sure that we are giving you value and improving the workflows inside the system on a regular basis. So you should be seeing more from us in terms of releasing of the product on a more planned, structured manner and in a better way in terms of our upgrade processes. So that is going to be a key focus area. Legislative compliance is critical to you as our customers. So in terms of some of the big changes that we see coming through in terms of Holidays Act here in New Zealand, pay super changes across in the AU, this is an area that we are constantly focusing on. So you will see more information coming out and just being on top of making sure that you have all the legislative changes that you require in time for you to be able to make sure you're implementing them and having them available. Security and reliability of our platform. Security is paramount. Obviously, the nature of the data that we've got inside our system is critical. So we make sure that we are regularly testing, regularly having audits done of the platform, and making sure that the platform is delivering to your needs on a regular basis. Scalability of the platform at the same time. We know that there have been some performance challenges. We want to make sure that the platform scales to meet your needs and your requirements. As you grow, this product and the platform should be able to support you and grow with you. And then improving the upgrade process. As I mentioned earlier on, we want to be delivering value more frequently to you. And we want to make sure that you can take that up with minimal disruption to your business. And that's where we'll be focusing our areas. So those are kind of some of the bigger customer themes that we are looking at and focusing on for the product. If we drill down into some of the core areas that you'll see changing and coming through in the product. First of all, the modern UI. Now, if you haven't heard me talking about this or haven't heard any conversations around this, there's going to be a significant change to the user interface of the product coming out during the course of 25, predominantly 26. It is a significant step forward in terms of how the product works. It will allow you to be able to have a lot more control over your screen layout. We get feedback around screens being too complex, too much information. You'll be able to control that. You'll be able to go in, hide fields on the screen, hide tabs, all of those sorts of things, move fields around as you need them to be. So it's a lot of flexibility around that. And you'll start seeing some of this coming out in 2025, more of it coming out in 2026. Reporting and data. There's a lot of information that goes into your system, and the ability to be able to get that information out and use that information to be able to generate insights into your business, to understand what is happening inside your business is absolutely critical. So we're going to be spending a lot of time around how do we make it easier for you to be able to get access to your information. Now, currently the product ships with about 300 or so standard reports plus another 200 or so generic inquiries inside the product. So there's a lot of information that is available to be able to get, or ways to be able to get to your information. But we still want to continue to improve that, make it easier so that you can tailor things at the same time. So the first step in that, which I mentioned earlier on, is subqueries within generic inquiries. Next year, what you'll see coming through is some improvements to the dashboarding filters so that you can more easily filter your dashboards to be able to cater for different scenarios. We'll also be taking the dashboards onto entry screens. So in your side panels, you can have dashboards on your actual entry screen so that you've got access to data right where you need it. Rather than having to go and look for information somewhere else or drill through to other parts of the system, you can have it embedded right where you need it, right where you're looking for it. As we go further into 2026, some of the key areas around this are around the reporting focus is GI grouping. One of the key differences at the moment between generic inquiries and the report writer is the ability to run subgroups within a report. So grouping my sales by region, okay? You don't have that ability to be able to group inside generic inquiries, and we want to be able to bring that through so that the generic inquiry becomes a much more powerful reporting tool as opposed to the current report writer, which is pretty complex to try and understand. So you'll see some of those changes coming through, as well as bringing in pivot charts. You can do pivot tables within the product at the moment. We want to bring through the pivot charts. And then further down that, improve the financial reporter. The ARM reporter can be a little bit challenging to work with. We want to improve that financial reporter to make it more easy for you to be able to structure and adjust your financial reports within the system. So that's a key area that we focus on. Those are some of the key things that we're looking at. And then if we go into the actual overall platform, okay, so these are things that are across the whole system, not specific to individual features. So the new user interface, I think I mentioned that. That's going to be coming through. Customizations, it was mentioned earlier on. Customizations are really important to being able to tailor your solution, whether they are built within the product through the low-code, no-code functionality or through code-based customizations. We want to be able to support that and provide you with a more structured, better, high-quality way of being able to do this to prevent any of the challenges that we've been having, or some of the challenges we've been having with customizations. So you'll be able to see more work around the customizations in terms of multi-UI. You'll start seeing us coming through with our customization repository to be able to give more strength to the solutions. But then there's also going to be other areas that we're focusing on. So configurable business rules, being able to provide strict controls over the data that is entered specifically into things like user-defined fields. So if it's a if it's a phone number that you want tracked, it's got to have the correct structure of a phone number or an email address, etc. Some of those sorts of business rules that you can apply. You'll see down there that I've also put in 2025 AI ML OCR processing. That is absolutely an area that we're going to be focusing on. So this is where, as I said earlier on, and you'll see it coming through in some of our other slides, we are going to start bringing through some of those AI ML functions that are available in Acumatica. So OCR scanning and a couple of other areas. And then we'll carry that out into 2026 with some predefined UDF, so you don't have to, so you can leverage existing lookups such as customer searches, etc., inside your user-defined fields. And then one of the really interesting ones that we'll, obviously being that it's out in 2026, it's still a long way off at the moment, but things that we want to start playing around with is things like macro recording that you can see inside Excel, to be able to try and improve, again, the efficiency of just managing your data and transacting inside the system. So those are some of the higher platform areas. If we jump down into functional parts of the system, now again, these are not specific features coming out in the next release. These are things that we are looking at, or high-level principles that we're looking at over the next 12 to 36 months. Okay. Financials is always going to be a key area of ours. Okay. We're doing a lot of work in a number of different areas. One of the key ones I want to call out is the redesign of sub-accounts. Sub-accounts are such a critical part of your GL structures to be able to really get an insight into your analysis and your analytics. We want to continue to expand that so that you can start building relationships between different segments inside your sub-accounts and really going further with your analytics of your financials. If we look at the people side of things, again, touching on the question I think was asked around the construction, two of the things that we need to be able to do there is the awards, which I mentioned, as well as the job costing elements inside workforce management, being able to assign your costs to different cost centers, etc. So those are all on the cards for that we're going to be focusing on. Sales and customers, okay. The key focus around this area is trying to really make the CRM system a lot more user-friendly for the salespeople, sales teams. So you'll see things like live chat integration, okay? Being able to start getting more integration around your conversations, linking those into your tasks and how those can all relate. So there's going to be a lot of areas that we're going to be focusing on to try and improve those efficiencies. If I carry on going through there, the sales and customer portal. Now, I'm not sure how many people are aware that with every available instance of MYOB Acumatica, you also get access to a customer portal. So your customer portal where your customers can log in, they can see all of their statements, their invoices, log cases, all of those sorts of things. We're going to continue to build out that portal so that it becomes more, you can design it and tailor it more to your specific requirements from a theming perspective. And we're going to continue to add functionality in terms of dashboarding and all of those sorts of areas. So you're really allowing your customers to be able to self-serve more and more, which is going to drive more efficiency into your operations. From a projects perspective, there's a lot that's coming through. Some of the things that I'm really excited about are the multi-customer projects. So situations where you have, the most common example is insurance and the owner of a building wanting to have some work done, where some of it's being covered by insurance, some of it has to be paid directly. So it's one project, but you want to bill multiple customers from that project. So that's going to be a really interesting one, along with the consolidation of invoices across projects. Okay, sometimes we go into really detailed breakdown structures within projects. So now you can start consolidating cross projects and bringing them through into one invoice. Supply chain, as I say, this is always going to be a key part of it. Now, the two that I'm going to point out here all end with AI/ML or have AI/ML in them. We want to start leveraging, as we start bringing the AI/ML functionality into the product, we want to leverage it more and more. So you'll see a lot more of those going into things like your generic inquiries to be able to do anomaly detection, gaps, variances, those sorts of things based on an analysis of your data that's been looked at. So these are the things that we're going to start bringing into the system so that it can give you more information and more insight into your business. And then we jump into our different, into some of the more specific areas. So into production, okay? Production, again, you'll start seeing some AI ML coming into it in terms of the scheduling to really help drive efficiency inside the scheduling or extend it as much as we can. The data collection via kiosks and Internet of Things technology. Being able to get all of that information back into your system to be able to do more insights and more analytics around it is always important to be able to really get a good understanding of your production profitability. And then field services. As I said, field services is an area that is going to have a lot of focus on it going forward. Okay, so there's going to be things like, again, you'll see the AI ML inside there for smart scheduling that will be coming through. Okay. There's a lot of improvements around this in terms of scheduling of employees at the same time. So again, all of these areas are going to be, all of these items are going to be focus areas over the next 12 to 36 months as we continue to broaden and deepen the functionality that's inside the product. Now, that was a lot to go through, and obviously you'll have access to some of this information and some of these into this presentation, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of insight into some of the areas that we're focusing on overall from a product perspective. Thank you very much, and I really, really appreciate the being here because it's always great spending time with customers.
Fantastic. Thank you, James. Really
All
appreciate
right.
it.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye-bye.